Our Diamondbacks have proven that they can sweep a pitiful team, but can they win a series against a playoff team?
You are Locked On Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Arizona Diamondbacks sports fans, glad to have you with us again right here on the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast. Hello and welcome. I am your host, Mike Ballantyne, right here where your team is here every single day. Baseball is my religion, the Diamondbacks are my denomination, and you are my congregation. So settle down in your pews and enjoy the message. I have another weekly podcast that I do called The Sports Truth. It's live every Tuesday night with my co-host Cheese. We are the 643 and Out guys, and you can find us on both X and YouTube at the 643 and Out pod. Now, by listening now, you are a certified member of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is completely free on all podcast platforms. You can also be part of the show by joining us on YouTube. Simply search Locked On Diamondbacks and leave your comments and criticisms. I have a passion for this game and for this team. And if you are listening, I am sure that you have the same passion. So whether you're a first time or a long time, thank you for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen every day. Now on today's show, we'll do what we're going to start doing every Monday. I'd like to get your feedback on it if you like this or not. We're going to start it this Monday and see how it goes. We're going to review the notebook. We're going to go over all three games after writing things right here beside me in this notebook that I watched them with live. The Diamondbacks made history Sunday night. I'll explain how and if it really means anything going forward. And lastly, in the third segment, we will preview the series versus the Texas Rangers. Now, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is just around the corner, so visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. But first, let's look inside the notebook, would you please? Let's see what we got here on the pretty little notebook. And maybe we'll even add a little, yeah, that's nice. We'll add a little music to the background of it today. As we jump into the weekend, we remember back to when our Arizona Diamondbacks, the slobbers out of the Colorado Rockies over the weekend. Let's kind of go through it game by game, not really play by play, but just some of the key things that happened in the game as we look through this notebook. So I started off by writing down there was a great play by Lourdes to end the first inning. And there was. That catch that he made, nice play by Lourdes Gurriel, really set the tone for the game, I thought. Blaze, of course, one of my favorite guys up here right now. He ended up clearing the bases with 3 RBIs, and there was 2 outs. So I like the fact that Blaze came through for us, 2 men on, 2 outs, and he ended up getting 3 RBIs out of it. Fantastic job by him. I also want to mention here in that first game, Dodgers, not a fan of the team. I mean, come on, look at the gear I got on here, right? Not a fan of that team, but I always liked Eric Karros. And his son Kyle got his first hit in that first game, a base hit, and he got an RBI all at the same time. I did like to see that part. Blaze hit a home run down the right field line. Oh, yeah. His first hit was to the left-hand side, and I really thought that was doing really well. But he has said before that he actually likes to hit things down that right field line, and he feels he's a better hitter for doing so. Well, he proved it in this game by hitting that ball over the fence. So you also had a Marte walk later on. Carroll walked as well. And then the 2-run home run. That was fantastic. It went 424 feet and 110 mile per hour off the bat. In the 6th inning, Lourdes called everyone off and then he missed the ball. I understand if you miss it, but you certainly can't call everybody off in the outfield because you had the center fielder coming in, you had Perdomo going out. It looked like actually Perdomo probably had the best shot at getting that ball, and then you could see it. He called everybody off, and that's just not what you can do. You can't do that. You can't call them off and then not get the ball after you call everybody off. So continuing in the notebook here, we got Graveman that came in and had 2 scoreless innings. And the bullpen itself did really well this game. I was very impressed with the bullpen. Now, just like everybody else, it seemed like Graveman gave up some hits, but he never gave up any runs. So really good for that. But here's the thing, right? We're going to get into this a little more later on in the week, probably on Wednesday. Zach Gallen, 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 6 Ks, and only 1 earned run. He gave up a lot of hits. He had to battle through to get where he had to go. And then that was only 6 innings. So you're leaving a lot for the bullpen. So here's my question that I came away with at the end of game 1. Is Zach Gallen really an ace anymore? We'll discuss later in the week. Good start for Erod in the second game. 2 singles that were aggressively turned into base hits by Marte and Perdomo. I loved that. You had the hit. Marte went all the way to third on that one, and then Perdomo went to second. That was a great, and they even referenced it on the broadcast. They said, "Oh, we love the chaos," and so do I. I thought that second game was kicked off by that play, and it really showed what the Diamondbacks can do with the offense that they have. Lourdes had another single, and all of a sudden, real early, it's Arizona 1 and the Colorado Rockies nothing. Doyle hit a 2-run home run, made it 2-1 Rockies. Then there was an RBI single by Farmer, made it 3-1 Rockies, and you're getting worried, right? I was getting worried watching the game, especially with Erod pitching. I was like, oh, here we go. We're just gonna keep scoring and keep scoring and keep scoring. So then next there was a walk to Blaze, and he got thrown out stealing. I love the aggressiveness though. At least he got thrown out doing something like that. He was trying to make something happen. They were down 2 runs. So it's a single, stolen base single, ended up being 4-1 Rockies. Then an RBI double by Marte. And Carroll scores. There we go. That's what my notes say. I was like, what does that say? I can't even read my own writing. So Carroll scores off the Marte double, makes it at 4-2, cutting the lead in half. Perdomo moves Marte to second on a ground ball out, and then Lourdes hit a sacrifice fly. Again, I said last week that I didn't like him in this 4-hole. I don't know. It's kind of grown on me a little bit. Lourdes Gurriel sacrifice fly made it 4-3 Diamondbacks. Lourdes makes another great play on a ball that was actually behind him. When he dove for that ball was behind him. And he still ended up getting the ball, diving for it into the dirt, or into the grass, I should say. Made a really, really nice play. I was afraid that inning was going to get away from him, but it ended up not doing so because of that play that Lourdes made. Great job by him. Carroll, tying his single season tally of 25 home runs, hits another one. 4-4 Arizona Diamondbacks. Del Castillo hit an RBI double, and it's 5-4. Tobar had an RBI single and makes it 5-5. Gurriel, off of the left field wall, scores Perdomo and made it a 6-5 victory for the Diamondbacks in the 9th inning. Again, another offensive performance by Lourdes Gurriel. But my closing thought on this whole thing still had to do more with the starter than it did anybody else. Because I looked at it, I mean, Gallen should be your 1 and Erod should be your 2 right now. And they look more like 3 and 4. Fott gets out of the first inning, trouble. And he did that really well, actually. He gave up some hits, but he didn't give up any runs, got out of the first inning. And I wanted to say this, Brenly made a great point in the broadcast. They had walked 14 batters, had the Arizona Diamondbacks in the first 2 games, and they needed to stop that. Perdomo singles. That was his 5th hit of the series so far. Lourdes hits one, and he gets Lourdes gets a hit as well. So you got 2 on, and then Alberto Del Castillo, ADC, gets into one 3-run home run. Fott hit. Fott just gave up hit after hit. I mean, I know he ended up getting us through and getting the win, but didn't you? As I was watching, it's like another hit. So then you had Amador with his 2-run deal when he got thrown out at third. So that scored for the Rockies there as well. So I like the fact that he was going for third, and they saw it. They threw him out at third. But of course, you give up the 2 runs in front of that. RBI for Marte made it 4-2 Diamondbacks. Karros hit a single up the middle. Well, he really played a really good game for a rookie. Karros hit a single up the middle, made it 4-3. Lourdes had that throw at home and cut down the runner. I know I'm saying Lourdes this and Lourdes that, and Lourdes made a bunch of big plays in this game, and Gurriel needs to be recognized for it. Not the best athlete out there in left field, and I'm not sure if I like him in the 4-hole yet. But I tell you, I'm leaning toward him being in that 4-hole. I really liked it. There was a first baseman error on the Thomas play. We'll talk more about that here later on in the show. And that just opened the floodgates. And McCann, 2-run single, bases loaded, 7-3. Blue pit by Blaze. Thomas home, 8-3. There were 8 2-out hits. A lot of good stuff in that 5th inning. We'll talk more about it here in just a moment. It reminded me of a merry-go-round, because by the time it was done, it was 12-3. Now, Graveman came in and he gave up 3 runs, not something that I would have, of course, liked to have seen, as I'll take this notebook down that I got right here. But the Diamondbacks got the sweep. They got some runs. They did really well on all of those points. And so kind of my big takeaway from this was, we won. And I'm happy we won. But you also beat a hapless team, or a hopeless team maybe even, that only has 1 star in Hunter Goodman. So on tomorrow's show, we are going to talk about our young stars and why, as a Diamondbacks fan, you should be excited to have those young stars. As I said a moment ago, our Diamondbacks make history on Sunday afternoon at Chase Field. What did they do? Who helped them do it? And does it really mean anything moving forward? We'll talk about all of that in the next segment. But first, we got to get to Gameday Hue. All right, everybody, let's go over to Gameday Hue. Today's episode, of course, is brought to you by Gameday Hue. You see it right down there at the bottom of the screen. Gameday Hue makes clean, no logo gear with team colors inspired for every single pro and college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you. No giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the course, or anywhere else in between. Now, personally, I like the game day gear because it pairs perfectly with my usual gear. I'm wearing all this stuff, right? It just matches everything. It doesn't replace my team's stuff. In fact, it's the opposite. It actually enhances the things that I already have. Right now, you can get 15% off with the code MLB15 at their easy-to-use website, which, of course, is GamedayHue.com. It also works better for you because it can stack. And what we mean by that is it stacks on bundles, so you can get that 15% off on multiple items. So let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's Gameday Hue, and use the code MLB15 for your 15% off. All right, everybody, let's go into segment number 2. as we kind of prep everything. I appreciate you guys being with us, of course, as always. And then we'll jump into that second segment here right away. YouTube is a great tool for you to get everything you need about your Arizona Diamondbacks. But in order to do that, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you'll never miss a video, so you are never not informed. I'm also very active on X. I do a lot of posts and reposts, do some poll questions every once in a while, and so much more. So get me there at LO_Diamondbacks. Now, in the fifth inning on Sunday, the Diamondbacks set a franchise record as they collected 9 consecutive hits that led to 8 runs. Manager Torey Lovullo said, "It was one of those momentum shifts, and we capitalized." And I agree. The inning started with 2 quick outs from Marte and Carroll. And when you get those 2 guys out in an inning, the opposing team has to feel pretty good about their chances. It was the most consecutive 2-out hits by any Diamondbacks team in franchise history, and the most in MLB since the Blue Jays had 9 straight hits against the Tampa Bay Rays on May 23rd of 2023. As I was watching the game, I kept thinking to myself that they were adding a hit, because surely the play that should have been the 3rd out, which was the error, had to be an error, right? But it was not. The throw was nice, or excuse me, the play was nice. So the Colorado Rockies first baseman he ranged all the way to his right, really made a great stab at the ball, but then simply made an awful throw to the pitcher covering, and was actually ruled an error. And then the 8-run inning also allowed the Diamondbacks manager to rest both Marte and Carroll for the remainder of the game, which is actually really important since the team doesn't have a day off until next Thursday at home between the Ohio Killings, right? It's got the Guardians for 3 and then the Reds for 3. So you got Guardians Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There's an off day, and then Reds Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll be at that Saturday game, by the way. We'll talk more about promos and stuff like that because there's a really good promotion, I believe, coming up here with the Guardians game and also with the Reds game. Got 2 really good promotions. So here's what else Torey Lovullo had to say about what was going on and the record-setting thing that happened on Sunday. He said, "We haven't played consistent baseball all year. Whatever the reason is, we win 3 in a row and then we lose 2. We got to string together a really nice streak of games where we play like we did this weekend. It's too early to say we're climbing back or we're changing gears." He was very specific on that. So I totally agree. They had a good offensive burst within a game where they had a good offensive output, within a series where they had a good offensive output. And hopefully they can keep this offensive output going into Texas. Now, Texas is only 1 game above 500 currently. The teams are almost going in opposite directions, but Texas may still be motivated to play for the playoffs. Can the Diamondbacks harness that momentum? We're going to find out here in just a moment after we hear this message. All right, and we're hearing this message from FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you are all about baseball under the lights or golf on the green or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not get a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are out there getting suntanned on the beach. You're going to earn some money, and all they're going to get is a tan. All right. So FanDuel is easy to use. It has a fast payout, 2 of the big reasons that I like it, and makes every regular season game feel like a must-watch contest. Are you new to FanDuel? Well, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets when you win your first bet. So open the FanDuel app today or visit fanduel.com to get started. All right, guys, we're already more than halfway through this thing. We're going to go into segment number 3. When we're done here, do you want a broader look at the game of baseball? If so, check out Locked On MLB Game Night. They watch every game, so you don't have to. And you just don't have to watch us on YouTube, although we certainly appreciate you doing so. Put us on in the car while you're grilling or you're mowing the grass with all the different audio platforms we offer as well, like Spotify and Apple, and my favorite, XM Satellite Radio. All right, guys, so the Diamondbacks, by sweeping the Rockies, and we talked about this a little bit on last week's show, got to a 500 home record. They are 27-31 on the road. You win 2 of 3 in Texas, you become 29-32 on the road. Then you have a 4-game series in Colorado. Remember, as we said, no off day. It goes right from Texas to Colorado. So if you win 3 of 4 of those games on the road, that road record would be 32-33. But if you sweep the series in Colorado, then you have a home record and a road record at 500 each. Do you think the Diamondbacks can do that? Can they take 2 of 3 from Texas? Can they take 3 of 4 in Colorado? Maybe. Can they take 2 of 3 in Texas and then all 4 games in Colorado? Now, we'll talk more about the importance of that on tomorrow's show. Let's jump into this a little bit here as far as the D-backs going to Texas. Let's not go to the Rockies quite yet, all right? Let's take it one series at a time. The Diamondbacks are coming off a sweep, and the Rangers are coming off of being swept by the Phillies in Arlington. So not only were they swept, but they only scored 4 runs in the entire 3-game series. And as we talked about in the last segment, the Diamondbacks scored 8 runs in 1 inning with 2 outs before they ever started scoring. Texas has an overall record of 16-59. They are 3-7 in their last 10 games and are currently on a 4-game losing streak. They do, however, have a plus 59 run differential. The Diamondbacks only have a plus 2 run differential, and they are 36-24 at home. So they do play really well at home. A couple things going well for us, and a couple things going not so well for us. So let's look at the actual starters in each of the 3 games. Game 1 will feature Ryan Nelson. He is 6-3 with a 3.20 ERA. His last outing on August 5th versus San Diego, that gave him a 3.18 ERA where he had 2 earned runs, 6 hits, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. So his last outing was pretty good. Some people are saying, and I've seen it on X, I've seen it on Facebook, I've seen it in other places that I've been going to following your Arizona Diamondbacks, they're actually thinking that Ryan Nelson might be a number 1 guy. We'll see how that all pans out. Now, the Rangers are going to counter with Nathan Eovaldi. He is 10-3 with a 1.38 ERA. His last outing on August 5th versus the Yankees, he had a 0 ERA with 0 runs allowed, and he only gave up 1 hit, no walks, 6 strikeouts. Nathan Eovaldi is tough, ladies and gentlemen. Nathan Eovaldi has, again, that overall record of 10-3 and a 1.38 ERA. He has an ERA of 1.38 and that whip of 0.77 as well for the entire season. 1.38 ERA and a whip under 1. It'll be a challenge for the Diamondbacks to win this first game. It'll be interesting to see if they can carry that momentum over into that game and possibly do something against Nathan Eovaldi, hoping that the Rangers don't do anything against Ryan Nelson and kind of continue their slide. The second game will be Anthony DeSclafani and Jack Leiter. So Disco, as I love to call him, has an ERA of 4.20. He's given up 6 home runs and 9 walks overall with 28 Ks. But he's only pitched 30 innings in 10 games, and 3 of those were starts. He's not been going very long, and it worries me a little bit that we have to do the bullpen behind him. So hopefully Ryan Nelson can pitch deeper into the game. If he can give us 7, I'll be extremely happy. And then Disco will be the opposing pitcher for him will be Jack Leiter. He has a little bit better ERA at 4.05. He's given up 11 home runs. He's walked 52 batters, and he has struck out 93. And he has pitched in 100 innings even. He's 7-6 overall in those 20 starts. So a little bit better ERA. The home runs don't concern me at all. The walks, maybe we can be patient and sit back and take a few walks off of Jack Leiter and get that win in game number 2. In the third game, man, I can't wait for this game. This is going to be great. And we'll certainly talk about this more tomorrow. It'll be Zach Gallen versus Merrill Kelly for that finale. That should be extremely fun. And like I said, we'll explore that matchup more tomorrow right here on the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast. Well, that'll wrap up our show for today. Thanks as always for making us your first listen every day. Tell a friend. Share this episode of the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast on your own social media platforms. And be sure to follow me on X at LO_Diamondbacks for more great content. Now, as far as tomorrow goes, you guys already know all 3 segments for tomorrow. We're going to do Zach Gallen versus Merrill Kelly. We're going to talk about why the Diamondbacks should be excited for our young stars. Because as we saw with the Colorado team that came in here, they really only have one. Man, I would hate to be a Colorado team knowing you're awful and you've only got one bright star. And then the importance of winning on the road and getting back to 500. That'll be the third topic we tackle tomorrow. Now, for your next listen, check on Locked On Diamondbacks as Sully gives you a daily look at the biggest stories in the league. And, as always, what we say at the end of every one of these broadcasts that you guys are with us on, which we all appreciate, tune in so you can stay locked on.